Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Most of you may remember recently I posted a video about how Poland had repatriated 100 tons of gold into its coffers, but details about how it was done was revealed to me later by several members of the community, and several of you have actually emailed me this story from the dailymail.com. So let's explore. Yes, very fascinating indeed to see some pictures and the like. And Daily Mail, by the way, is quite a website. It's a British offering, and they really do go into detail for the stories, complete with pictures and everything. So it's actually kind of like this source. So $4 billion, 4 billion pounds worth of gold is secretly flown from London to Poland. 8,000 bars weighing 100 tons is returned after it was hidden from the Nazis in Britain. So that's the source. That's how it got to England in the first place. Poland evacuated its gold at the outbreak of the Second World War, and it recently stored all of its reserves in the Bank of England. And so now the government is repatriating the gold to strengthen the country. 8,000 bars were flown from London to Warsaw in secret month-long operations. High-tech vans, specialized police, and helicopters were all involved in the transport. Had to be done in secret. And that should be that should be obvious, because you don't want to publicize you're transporting that much gold for fear of it being robbed. Poland has repatriated 4 billion pounds worth of gold from London to Warsaw in a top-secret operation involving planes, helicopters, high-tech trucks, and a specialist police force. A total of 8 nighttime flights were made from an undisclosed London airport over the course of several months this year, transporting 8,000 gold bars weighing 100 tons to several locations in Poland. The country's gold reserves have been stored at the Bank of England for decades, having been evacuated from Poland at the outbreak of the Second World War amid fears they would fall into the hands of the Nazis. But Poland's nationalist government has now begun repatriating the gold in order to strengthen the country. Of course, this is the second time they've referenced nationalist government. I would hope that any nation that believes in sovereignty would want to own their own gold and have it. But here's a picture of the bars themselves. Very cool to see. I've been repatriated from London and Warsaw over the last several months in a top-secret operation. And so this shows them being loaded into a crate for transport. And boy, don't let that fool you. These things are dense, very heavy for their size. So it's a total of 8 late-night flights took off from an undisclosed London airport, pictured, bound for multiple locations in Poland, carrying 1,000 bars on each trip. So yeah, just the sheer weight alone on the flights to be able to make that happen. Here's another picture. There's the gold reserves of Poland, 100 tons that were evacuated. They were evacuated at the outbreak of the Second World War to stop it from falling into Nazi hands, and for decades has been stored at the Bank of England. Security firm G4S International Logistics were given the task of transporting the gold, which it described as one of the biggest movements of gold between banks in the world. So that is something else. A spokesman said the final trip, which happened on November the 22nd, so that's not that long ago, weeks ago, saw trucks take 20 crates filled with bars from a facility. Let's see who this scammer. Hello?
Hey, how are you?
All right, I'm doing fine. We're talking about the logistics of moving the largest amount of gold between banks in the world. What do you think about that? That's a question. That was not. He hung up on me. The transport was given a police escort and tracked from overhead by a helicopter. After arriving at the airport, the bars were strapped down inside a Boeing 737 transport plane and flown to 2 locations in Poland. The crates were received by an elite police unit and were loaded onto 3 more armored trucks before being taken to vaults belonging to Poland's National Bank in undisclosed locations. There, everything was counted and measured to ensure nothing was missing. Paul Holt, a general manager for G4SI, said it was all very secretive and extremely important. It was done well. It makes perfect sense to keep it secret. Here it says Poland began increasing its gold reserves in 2018 before announcing that roughly half its store would be transported to Warsaw to strengthen the nation. So there it is on the plane. Very wild to see. On Monday of last week, Poland's bank chief Adam Glapiński announced that the gold transfer had been completed. He said 100 tons of Polish gold was now securely locked away in the vaults of the NBP Treasury in Warsaw. A separate press release said, to commemorate the return of gold to Poland, the NBP will issue a gold bar-shaped collector coin in December. Now that is cool. Wow. So it'll be a gold bar-shaped collector coin in December. I'd like to have one of those. Until recently, Poland held around 100 tons of gold reserves exclusively at the Bank of England, but announced in 2018 that it would buy another 100 tons. The country then announced it would be repatriating half of the gold, following a similar move by the nationalist government of Viktor Orban in Hungary. At the time, Glapiński said the gold symbolizes the strength of the country, boasting that Poland could generate multi-billion-dollar profits by selling it, though stressed he had no plans to do so. I wonder what gold they're going to use for these collector coins that the government of Poland will release. That will be quite interesting to find out. Poland had $121.9 billion in official reserves, including gold, as of October 31st of this year, as reported by Bloomberg. And as you can see here, Poland's gold was secretly shipped through 4 continents for 5 years to hide it from the Nazis. You can see here a main building of the Bank Polska and the Treasury right, where most of the nation's gold was stored when the war broke out in 1939. So very interesting. This kind of goes into the history of it and how it was transported. Very interesting. And I like this. Daily Mail does go into depth with this type of thing and showing how which goes into depth of the story and the background of all this as well too. So I found this quite fascinating indeed, for sure. But look at this. Amazing to see all this gold in a movement, and the fact that it is really the largest movement of gold between banks. And that scammer did not want to hear that. He did not want to. He not the slightest bit of curiosity about this. But thanks to several of the members of the community for pointing this out. I did post this story about the actual action that they had done it, but not the actual logistics behind it. And this is detailed here. So very fascinating indeed. Let me know what you think. Post your thoughts below. And I'm very curious to see about this commemorative coin and how that will be issued and dealt with and sold. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to all of you for taking the time to watch. And remember, I do post videos daily. And I want to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe. Did some more research and found another story about the repatriation of this gold. Most of it kind of repeats what I saw in the other article, but I thought this was kind of interesting. And this particular portion from BullionStar.com, that the Polish gold repatriation was one of the biggest private movements of gold between banks in the world. While the Polish gold transport operation is indeed sizable, it's not the biggest in recent times, since other repatriations have been larger. For example, the Netherlands Central Bank, or the NY Fed, moved 122.5 tons of gold from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to Amsterdam in 2014. The German Bundesbank initiated a transfer of 674 tons of gold from Paris and New York. So that's 274 tons. In New York, 300 tons over the 2013 through 2017. Admittedly, that was a ridiculously long time frame, but it did include transfers of over 100 tons each from Paris and New York in both 2015 and 2016. On behalf of the Venezuelan Central Bank, various bullion banks and the Bank of England flew 160 tons of Venezuela's gold to Caracas over a 2-month time frame between the end of November 2011 and end of January 2012. And someone may also point out that the 940-ton transfer of gold from the Bank of England to Frankfurt over 2000 and 2001, but that's a different story. And there was another smaller transaction for the Austrian Central Bank repatriated 90 tons of gold from London to Vienna over the summer of 2018. And we didn't really hear much about that, but very interesting. And it is up there with some of the larger ones, but it is not the largest. But fascinating indeed, for sure, to see this occur. And here's a picture showing gold in the Bank of Poland's NBP Treasury. So there you have it. Just a little addendum here. Hope you enjoyed.